And after everything, there we have it. All right, let's mount the wing. Let's do this. We can figure it out. Of course we can. This is kind of approximately where it is. That's extra resin that got poured onto it during a repair process. It still needs to be sanded and clear coated, so I'm not worried about how it looks right now. That can be done all after it's mounted. I just want to get it on the car. My initial plan was to take the end mounts and actually rivet them to on the inside of the trunk frame, but there's not enough space and this seam is at an angle. So what I'm going to end up doing is creating little steel brackets that get welded right to this edge face that then this bolts to, and that will allow the trunk to actually slip in around those mounts. So I 3D printed this little piece, and it's basically the bottom section of the end plate and just a piece down that will then get welded onto the inside of the chassis. So from 3D print, just use that as a template. Make two of these guys out of little sheet steel. Trace the patterns, trace the holes, cut it out with an angle grinder. So now we just need to drill these holes, prep the trunk surface, and then we can actually tack these into place. Get a general idea of what we're looking at. I'll probably just tack it on one, like the front edge or something like that, and then we can double check that everything lines up and everything's good. I love using 3D prints because look at how nice that edge matches up with both sides. Bolt holes line up, and the plan is to take this guy and drop that right onto the chassis so you have this very clean seam. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld the bottom edge of that inside there, and you get a very, very seamless chassis mounted rear wing. All right, so we got the paint cleaned off in there, and I'll probably end up having to do some touch-up paint on this side, but that's fine because I want to paint that bracket black anyways. But that's where I'm thinking it's gonna live, kind of, sorta. Obviously, once I get a tack on there, I will bend it back up straight and basically get the other side and everything to be perfectly vertical before I actually fully weld things in, but just having a tack there will help. Right now it's just held by a magnet, but that's the thought process. So now that that's located, we just need to put a tack there. Gonna be honest, I kinda eyeballed the crap out of this distance. And I also measured this distance from there to there and there to there in like 3 different places on both sides. And yeah, I don't really have a good datum point to measure to. So I'm just kinda going off by feel and appearances, and this looks right to me, so this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna put a couple more tacks on this side. That side's already freestanding on its own, and then we'll actually get to kind of see what this is gonna look like. I'd be lying if I said that went smoothly. This back section here must be where they glued the two body panels together before they spot welded them, because it was really hard to get a bead to go. But basically from this third bolt or second bolt hole forward, I was able to get good bead all the way across. So now we just need to throw a quick splash of paint on these, and then I can bolt up the uprights to them again. All right, so I just kind of wanted to see how this looked mocked up. We have our wing to upright brackets in there just to kind of give it the right pitch. And honestly, it's really close right there. I might move it up a little bit, but I also wanted to put the trunk on to see how everything fit. So you can see, how the mounts work. They just slide in between the trunk and this outer rail. But yeah, that's how we can chassis mount it without a ton of effort and like making huge giant gantries to help mount the wing. That's mounted to the chassis. The exterior body is the chassis. And after everything, there we have it. Yeah, it's a carbon wing. It's of the right profile. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But it is good enough for who it's for, which is me. So, yeah, it's not perfect by any means. It has a little bit of a ricketiness back and forth, but I'm just gonna fix that with just like a little X-brace across, put everything in tension and compression, and that will go away. It just kind of happens when you have this long of a span and the trunk metal isn't as stiff as I was hoping it would be, so it just kind of walks a little bit, it's not the mounts itself, it's actually the metal underneath that it's attached to that's walking back and forth, allowing it to pivot like that. And there's just compliance with everything and everything else. So yeah, that's what I did. The finish is a little uneven because there's some excess resin and there's some clear coat that went on heavier than others, but that's a problem for a different day. If I really get worried about how it looks, then I'll fix it. But for now, it'll do the job that it's supposed to. So if you learned anything along the way or found any valuable tips, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. But yeah, that's it. There is a DIY carbon rear wing.